By 1945, World War II had drained Britain's wealth. Its cities and industries lay in ruin. Across its empire, colonial control was beginning to slip. Amid this instability, a revolutionary army of men and women rose to challenge the crown, risking everything for freedom. This is the story of an army whose revolution would awaken national pride, whose shared struggle would inspire a nation to stand together, and whose legacy would weaken the foundations of colonial rule. Following the Indian Rebellion of 1857, Indian governance fell directly under British rule, becoming a system of economic extraction of raw materials for the empire. By World War II, Britain depended on these resources more than ever to sustain the war in Europe. As supplies were diverted overseas, food shortages deepened across India. In 1943, famine devastated Bengal, killing millions. At the same time, Japanese forces advanced across Southeast Asia, striking one British territory after another. With each defeat, the image of British invincibility began to crack. Amid famine, war, and an empire under strain, the Indian National Army saw a rare opportunity, a chance to fight for India's freedom. In 1942, Raj Bihari Bose, an Indian revolutionary living in Japan, began uniting anti-colonial groups across Southeast Asia under the Indian Independence League. Leadership soon passed on to Subhash Chandra Bose, a former Congress leader who believed freedom could not be won through negotiation alone. To him, freedom required force and an army. Seeking support, he aligned the movement with Japan's call for an Asia for Asians, a campaign aimed at ending Western imperial rule across the continent. Seeing an opportunity to weaken Britain in Asia, Japanese Prime Minister Hideki Tojo backed the effort. From this alliance, the Indian National Army was born. The army swelled after Japanese forces seized Singapore, Britain's key military base in Southeast Asia. Thousands of Indian soldiers serving in the British Army were captured and given a choice: remain prisoners of war or join the fight for India's independence. Many enlisted, and the army soon grew beyond 40,000 troops. As its ranks grew, the INA advanced towards India alongside Japanese forces, directly challenging the British military in the campaigns of Imphal and Kohima. But Bose wanted more than a battlefield victory. He soon established the provisional government of Azad Hind as the INA's political arm. As a sovereign state, the civil administration issued its own currency and stamps. Each imprint of paper and coin was a symbol of legitimacy, proving that India could function without British rule. Azad Hind carried this political challenge across India. Through multilingual radio broadcasts, songs and speeches of self-rule were carried into millions of Indian homes.
वर्तमान शासन विधान तो हमारी मर्जी की खिलाफ साम्राज्यवाद को मजबूत कर हमारी गुलामी की जंजीरों को और मजबूत करने के लिए बनाया गया है। इसे आप हरगिज़ स्वीकार न करें।
As news of Azad Hind spread, more Indians began to believe that self-government was achievable, encouraging more participation in the independence movement. The revolution did not stop there. Soldiers from different religions, regions, and castes served side by side under a single cause, challenging the divisions reinforced by colonial rule to divide and control subjects. Among its clearest social challenges was the Rani of Jhansi Regiment, the women's unit of the INA. Women from plantation communities who had endured poverty and exploitation entered military service and a freedom struggle from which they had long been excluded. Within the regiment, many recalled finding newfound dignity and purpose. By marching in uniform, drilling with rifles, and fighting alongside men, these women defied colonial expectations that had long confined them to domestic roles.
And in the case of women, they will be fighting for two things. One, the independence of their country, and the second thing is their own independence and emancipation.
Their service embodied the INA's message that independence required the participation of all Indians, regardless of identity. This revolutionary image was complicated by the harsh realities of war. For many, joining the army was not purely a matter of patriotism. After the fall of Singapore, Indian soldiers were taken into prisoner camps, where starvation, lack of basic necessities, and disease were widespread. Over 12,000 soldiers died in these conditions. As the situation worsened, prisoners were offered a chance to join the INA, a decision that was no longer about their country's independence, but survival. Once enlisted, any sign of doubt was met with severe punishment, while officers glorified those who chose death over betrayal.
There, in his speech to us, he gave us the slogan of blood, blood and Chalo Delhi. That became our battle cry from then onwards.
Soldiers claimed those who attempted to desert the INA would be tortured and murdered. To the British, these accounts exposed coercion and treason. To the INA, it was military discipline necessary in the fight for freedom. These opposing reactions would soon collide in a historic legal battle. On November 5, 1945, 3 INA leaders representing Hindu, Sikh, and Muslim identities stood trial before the British Raj. The courtroom became a clash of conflicting perspectives. The British government argued it was an illegal force operating under Japanese command against the Allies, built through coercion and intimidation testified by numerous witnesses. The defense, backed by the Indian National Congress, insisted the INA was not illegitimate, but a self-governing army under Azad Hind, with Japan serving as an allied partner rather than its controller. Former INA soldiers served as witnesses, denying systemic coercion and insisting enlistment was voluntary. Bola Bhai Desai, an eminent lawyer, closed the defense with a powerful claim. A nation cannot be criminalized for fighting for its own liberation. The court ultimately found the soldiers guilty, but the verdict did not silence the INA, it strengthened it. Within hours, news of the trial spread through Hindustan Times and Bombay Sentinel. Across the country, many were drawn not just to the trial, but what the INA represented. Indians from all backgrounds could stand together against British rule. Students, women, Muslims, and workers took to the streets in defiance of the verdict. In Calcutta, crowds marched to Dalhousie Square, tying flags as a symbol of anti-imperialist unity.
During that time, actually, the Indians thought that they could transcend all these ideas of religion, etc., which was so polarizing in nature.
As national unity grew, the British government dropped the sentences. The INA had successfully transformed a fragmented struggle into a unified independence movement. The British Army had long relied on the 2.5 million Indian soldiers to maintain their power in India, but a wave of revolutionary fervor was breaking that loyalty. Inspired by what the INA had shown, sailors like Balai Chand Dutt painted INA slogans on naval walls, discussed political ideas of self-rule with one another, and sent letters challenging British authority. After decades of unequal pay, poor rations, and discrimination, this political awakening turned into open resistance. In 1946, these sailors rose up in the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny. 20,000 naval personnel across 78 ships tore down British flags and replaced them with that of the Indian National Congress, the Muslim League, and the Communist Party, a symbol of unity in pursuit of independence. Other branches of the army, from the Royal Indian Air Force to local police, soon joined the widespread movement.
The myth of invincibility of the British Navy, the whole idea that the British Navy was invincible, was clearly shaken.
The same forces that had once sustained colonial rule were now becoming unstable, weakening British control from within. The INA never achieved the military victory it sought. Instead, its impact came through its challenge to colonial authority, society, and the armed forces. In the years that followed, Azad Hind's message of self-rule inspired more civilians to join the independence movement. This growing freedom struggle was no longer fragmented and confined to a select few, but united across gender, religion, and caste. Within the Royal Indian military, the lasting demand for reform left the British unable to maintain its power. As resistance spread far and military loyalty weakened, the British soon left India. The INA had reformed a colony once bound by oppression and division into an independent nation.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.